I stirred as a soft breeze played across my face. I slowly opened my eyes, feeling sick and decrepit. As my eyes opened, I couldn't help but notice that I was not at home. There was no roof over my head, but instead the big black blanket of space. I slowly made my way to an upright position, feeling sore all over, like I just belly flopped my way out of a bull race. Feeling uneasy and disoriented, I started following the path of dilapidated moonlight shining on the lush forest floor. I started staggering forward, tripping a few times. Eventually, I felt the need to sit down again. I came across a puddle and sat down next to it, splashing some of the water on my face. I peered around me, looking for a landmark so I could determine my location. All I saw was some broken down old building. Oh well, better than nothing. After a few moments rest, I stood up again, but a movement in the corner of my eyes brought my gaze to the puddle. Barely in the reflection of the puddle, which should mean right next to me, stood what appeared to be a woman with pale skin. However, I couldn't see above her neck and past her belly button. As soon as I caught sight of that ghastly image, I was filled with a strange terror. I ran away as fast as my legs would carry me. I almost stumbled several times, but I thought I lost her. After the long run, I slumped down by a nearby tree, and as I caught my breath, I peeked above the bushes and brambles littering the ground. I noticed two things. One, I couldn't see that woman. And two, I had lost sight of that building. I cursed and sank back against the tree, trying to plan what to do next. I figured that that building may have a phone that I could use to call someone. Or perhaps a map so I could figure out where I was. But I had to get there without that woman finding me. I considered backtracking to where I woke up, but what if that woman was still there? In my weakened state, I doubted I would fare well in a fight. I decided to stay here for a bit longer. Maybe she'd move on. And it would also give me a chance to recuperate. I began taking deep, quiet breaths as I ran my hands through my hair and began to listen to the surrounding forest. After listening intently for a few minutes, I heard nothing but the sounds of a breeze gently blowing the leaves around. I risked another peek. All clear. There was no sign that that girl had even pursued me. The only thing that seemed to be even in this forest besides the trees and that house was myself. I was sure that that girl was not near, but still, I had the sensation of being watched. I brushed this off and slinked silently over to where I thought I had awoken. I couldn't help but look over my shoulder every few moments, though every time was the same. There was nothing there. I felt like I was being mocked for not being able to see what made it feel like I was being stared at. After what felt like forever, I managed to find a spot where I originally woke up. This time, I decided to take the scenic route around the puddle, determined to make it to the building. And I finally reached the facade of the deteriorating building. I swallowed my fear and walked closer, trying to comprehend the enormous feeling of doom that was arising in me. As I made my way to the front of the building, I tried to glance through the windows, but soon I noticed that I couldn't see through them without jumping. I decided against that quickly as I didn't want to make more noise than I needed to in case the girl was close by. When I finally reached the front door, I twisted the doorknob, but to no avail. It wouldn't move. I pushed on the door a couple of times, listening carefully. It seemed as if the hinges were rusted to the point that the door would just fall off with enough force. I stepped back to examine the house closer. There were vines growing everywhere, even poking through some of the broken windows. The stone was either broken or gone, it seemed, and there wasn't a grimy window that wasn't severely broken. and the door itself was indented in several places, and one of the hinges was hanging off. I was going to have to muscle in. Despite how the outside appeared though, the inside was almost regal. Polished hardwood floors, the paint on the walls looked like it was only painted yesterday. A crystal chandelier, beautiful white carpeted stairs, yet the feeling of being watched only got stronger. I gazed around. It felt like the darkness was pressing in on me, stunting my breathing. The momentary effect still lingered, but the thought of continuing on petrified me. I knew going back out into the forest was not an option because of that girl, but the sound of me hitting the floor and the door shattering would certainly draw her attention. Despite the darkness, I had to continue on before she came to check out the sound. As I walked up the stairs, the pressure caused me to break into a cold sweat. I looked around and saw a being to the left. I was about to scream, until I saw it wasn't the woman. As I slowly calmed down, I looked closer. It was a mirror. I gave my reflection a quick look. I was covered in mud and had small scratches from running through the trees, and the area that I hit the door was starting to bleed through my sweater. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold. My right eye had taken a pale yellow shape, and my left eye a minty green. I stared right into those eyes, trying not to panic. The girl with the pale skin then appeared in my reflection, with the same damn eyes. I screamed just before the mirror shattered, footsteps echoing from the entrance of the house. As I watched him stare into the mirror, I couldn't help but smile. Alex was so dirty and bloody. He looked like he had no clue of the events that had transpired just hours before waking up in that bloody forest. I decided to show the confused little Alex what I looked like before getting rid of that fucking mirror. The look on his face was priceless. So frightened and scared. Crimson liquid staining his sweater seemed to spread more as the scare increased his pulse. The sound of the footsteps coming closer was just a bonus from the little hallucination caused by being frightened. As I ran, I felt like if I had to spend one more second in this nightmare, I would go insane just to get rid of this psychological torture. I just couldn't shake the feeling that there was something special in this building. Something that would make life normal again. I fought back tears as I thought of my loved ones back home. What could be happening to them? I decided it was time to reveal to Alex what was so special about this house. I began to close doors that were close to him, while only leaving one door open. Behind that door was the dead body, mutilated to the point that no one would be able to tell who it is. I left a little gift for Alex in that room. His watch, just ticking away on the wrist of the dead man. I couldn't help but giggle in anticipation for when Alex noticed the room, wanting to see how scared he would be. I reached a hallway, peeling wallpaper, creaky boards, and the strong smell of decay. I heard a badly stifled giggle, and decided not to linger. I started trying doors. They wouldn't budge. After my 7th try, I found an unlocked door. A puff of dust assaulted my eyes and nose as soon as I opened the door, and I felt somebody tackle me. Thinking it was the woman, I kicked back, but I didn't get free. As soon as I saw what was waiting for me, I almost wished that it was the girl. I saw a decaying corpse, alternating between patches of skin to muscles and the occasional flash of bone. He had one pure white eyeball that was hanging out of his skull and an empty eye socket. I rolled out from under it and threw up. Then I saw a maggot crawl out of the empty socket and throw up again. His hand was sticking out, and on it, my watch. I wondered whether to take it, something familiar to take with me. But if I wanted it, I would have to touch that corpse. After a moment of indecision, I tried to pry it off him. But no luck. I gingerly placed my foot on the corpse's head and pulled again. This time, my watch came free, along with a smattering of decaying flesh and muscle. I hurriedly wiped myself down and pulled my watch off the wrist. I put it on, but not before wiping it down with my sweater. It gave me small comfort. I laughed as the blood, muscle and flesh splattered onto Alex before deciding it was time to lead my dirty blonde victim to his next little gift. His wallet. I whipped a piece of broken wood that had fallen off the broken window pane just past his head while remaining hidden from his sight, trying to make him realize that it was time for him to leave this room. I made sure that the moment the piece of wood hit the wall behind him, that the basement door slammed open. Following it was a cry for help for a bit of encouragement. I looked at my watch, expecting to see the time and date, but it was completely blank. This was no time to mourn over the little victory I was hoping to get, as I heard the sound of something in the corpse's room. I ran away and got led downstairs until I was sure we were underground. I could smell the earth from between the flimsy wooden boards. I smiled as I watched him enter the basement. I slammed the door behind him and locked it from the outside so he couldn't leave until I opened it. In every corner of the basement was the decaying corpse of an animal, with lines of blood connecting each of them, making an X on the floor. In the center of the X lay the body of a girl who was reported kidnapped a couple of days ago. I had left her there just like this for this occasion. Sticking out the little girl's stomach was Alex's wallet, which I turned just enough so he could see his license. I had made sure that he couldn't get it out of her stomach unless he tore it out, which would kill the girl in the process. "Have fun," I said, just quiet enough not to wake the girl, but loud enough for him to hear, chuckling as I did so. I walked into the basement with my eyes closed tightly shut, not wanting to see any more corpses. I walked about 20 feet before bumping into something smelly, wet and furry. I opened my eyes instinctively, and what I saw almost made me faint on the spot. Hanging from a noose was a golden retriever puppy with its fur all matted and red with blood, its entrails spilling out of a gash vertically overseeing the whole of its underbelly. I looked to the left as not to see that, and saw 3 more puppies hung. I fell to my knees and broke out in tears. But then I noticed that blood on the floor seemed to be running towards one point. And there, beside me, was a little girl reported missing a few weeks ago. She was breathing faintly, and it looked like every inhale took all she had. Sticking out of her stomach was my wallet. I could see my driver's license. I had to make a choice. Recover a piece of my self-insanity, or keep a little girl alive. She turned to face me. She gargled something out, probably a cry for help, but her throat was so badly damaged that she couldn't make any coherent words. I brushed her cheek softly with my hand, trying to hold back the tears, but they just came rushing out. The look in her eyes said that she would beg for help if she could, but she can't. And I couldn't take her with me. She was bound with thick rope, and even if I did manage to free her, she would just slow us both down. Neither one of us would be sure to get out alive. I tried to convince myself that this was better for her. She was obviously suffering. I reached for the wallet, but the look in her eyes stopped me. She gurgled out something, and another stream of blood ran down her face. I closed my eyes and reached for it again, but I couldn't do it. Finally, I steeled myself, grabbed it and tore it out. Dying noises of that innocent girl would haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life. I immediately regretted it. Had I just killed a girl over a wallet? I mean, she would have died anyway, I thought to myself, as I slipped that blood-stained wallet into my pocket, not sure if I would make it out sane or alive. I unlocked the door to the basement before dragging one of the hanging puppies up the stairs and into the kitchen. I put Alex's keys on the puppy's collar, making them jingle with each step the puppies dragged up. I let him see me this time. I let him watch my black hair flow behind me as I dragged the mutt around. I knew he'd want his keys, and I assumed he'd want revenge for what he was just forced to do. All I needed was the right trap. The moment I reached the kitchen, I hung the puppy by the noose from one of the ceiling pictures before using the dog's blood to scrawl a quick little message on the wall. I have one more thing of yours upstairs. Use the black key to open the door to get it back. The room with the lights on is the one you're looking for. With that, I ran upstairs and waited for him, unable to control my laughter. As I left the basement, I wondered who could be cruel enough to do something like this. The last moments of that little girl's life, the life I ended, just kept playing in my mind. I wanted out. I looked up and saw the girl dragging one of the puppies across the floor at the end of the hallway. I hurried after her as quick as I could. I didn't care if I died. I just wanted revenge. When I turned around the corner she disappeared into, she wasn't there. But instead, a message written in blood. I could barely read it due to the tears and rage, and I spotted my keys on the collar of the puppy. I almost snatched them off, but then withdrew my hand. I softly closed the eyes of the puppy, and undid the collar it was hung by. And I undid my keys from the collar, and feeling empty, I turned and walked upstairs. I walked up the stairs, feeling detached from life, as if the smallest wind could just knock me down. I numbly opened the lock with a black key that was on my keychain. Walked in, and then I looked around. It was a big stone room with a single light bulb in the dead center, and a mirror on the wall I was facing. I looked in the mirror and saw the girl, looking just as tired as I was. I locked the door behind him and smiled at him. "Hello, Alex. How are you tonight?" I uttered, trying to sound cheery. "What do you want? Haven't you tortured me enough already?" "I simply want to talk. And I don't know. Have you tortured yourself enough tonight, murderer?" She had hit me right where it hurt. "At least I haven't descended to your level," I spat. "Oh? You haven't? Well, shall we review what you have done tonight then? You woke up in a forest. You came into this house. You tore off a corpse's hand to get your watch back. You ended a young girl's life to get back your wallet. And now you're here. Doesn't sound like you're a saint now, does it?" I taunted him. "She would have died anyway. I put her out of misery." I spoke without conviction. "Oh, do you have a doctorate in medicine? No? Then how can you be sure?" I spat in return. I shuffled uncomfortably. "She wouldn't be..." "Never mind that. You're the real scum here. You put all these people and animals in this position." "Oh, did I?" "Alex, look at what you are speaking to. Say what you are speaking to out loud. I dare you," I said with a giggle. I paused. "You're just a psycho." "That may be. But you still haven't said it. Alex, what are you speaking to? You're in a locked room with only one light bulb, and you're speaking to a... what?" I said relentlessly, trying to get a point into his head. I moved my hand. The girl mirrored my actions instantly, This is some sort of trick. You're some sort of demon. Say it, Alex. What are you talking to? That's all you need to do, and I will explain myself. I said, copying every action he did, speaking in his voice now. I grasped my head with both hands. Get out of my head! I copied his actions. You're talking to a mirror, Alex. You know what a mirror reflects? What is in front of it? My appearance slowly began to fade to his. Same eyes, same hair, same everything. No, I sobbed. No, you can't be me. I would never. I am you, Alex. Everything that happened tonight was done by you and for you. You did everything here. You kidnapped the girl. You murdered the now mutilated man. You hung the puppies. You even scrawled the message in blood. You killed the girl, and you hid all your belongings. The only thing you didn't do were the footsteps. Those were just hallucinations, I laughed. I fell to the ground, screaming and crying. This couldn't be true. It is true, Alex. I have no reason to lie to myself. We're a psychopath. And we're a murderer. You'll never forget what happened here today. After this, you'll always be haunted by the shadow inside yourself. I said before unlocking the door for him, letting the wind from the missing front door swing it open. There was nothing else to do. I had to get rid of this beast inside me before it kills again. I smashed the mirror and saw a way out. This is my salvation. This is my solution. Because of this decision, I will never make anybody hurt again. This is my last thought as I plummeted towards the ground. I was finally free. Thank you for listening to the end. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to click that like button. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon to make sure you never miss a story.